Scientists have discovered that spending just 2 weeks in a foreign country physically rewires your brain in ways that last for years. Not metaphorically. Not emotionally. Literally, structurally, measurably rewires it. The neural pathways you build when you travel are fundamentally different from anything your daily routine can produce. And the implications of that finding are more profound than most people realize. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly what happens inside your brain the moment you land somewhere unfamiliar, why travel makes you measurably smarter according to peer-reviewed research, and what specific types of travel produce the most dramatic cognitive changes. There is also one counterintuitive finding buried in the neuroscience that completely flips the way most people think about vacation. We will get to that, and it might change how you plan every trip for the rest of your life. To understand how travel changes the brain, you first need to understand how the brain resists change. The human brain is extraordinarily efficient. Over time, it builds deeply grooved neural pathways for everything you do repeatedly. Your commute, your morning routine, the way you navigate your neighborhood. These grooves become so deep that your brain essentially runs on autopilot for most of your waking hours. Neuroscientists call this default mode processing. It conserves energy, but it also suppresses the formation of new neural connections. Your brain, left to its own devices, becomes increasingly rigid with age. That rigidity has a name in neuroscience: reduced neuroplasticity. And reduced neuroplasticity is associated with cognitive decline, reduced creativity, and a narrowing of perspective that happens so gradually most people never notice it happening. Travel interrupts that process with almost violent efficiency. The moment you step into an unfamiliar environment, your brain is forced out of default mode. Suddenly, nothing is automatic. The street signs are in a different language. The food smells different. The social rules are different. Your brain has to actively process everything. Every stimulus is new. Every decision requires conscious thought. And that conscious engagement triggers a cascade of neurological activity that your daily routine simply cannot replicate. A landmark study published in the journal Social Psychological and Personality Science found that people who had spent time living abroad scored significantly higher on creativity tests than those who had not. And crucially, the effect was not about simply being exposed to novelty. The researchers found that the key factor was what they called multicultural engagement, actually interacting with and adapting to a different culture, not just observing it from a tour bus. The depth of engagement determined the magnitude of the cognitive benefit. But here is what nobody talks about when it comes to travel and the brain. It is not the landmarks that change you. It is the problems. When you get lost in Lisbon and have to figure out the metro system in Portuguese, your brain is building something. When you have to negotiate a price in a market in Marrakesh, your brain is building something. When you eat something unfamiliar and have to override your instinctive caution, your brain is building something. These are not inconveniences. According to neuroscientists at the University of Illinois, novel problem-solving in real-world environments stimulates the hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for memory formation and spatial navigation, more powerfully than almost any other activity. Travelers who actively navigate unfamiliar cities show measurably greater hippocampal activity than those who follow pre-planned tour itineraries. Psychologist Adam Galinsky at Columbia Business School has spent years studying the relationship between international travel and cognitive flexibility. His research found that executives and creative professionals who had spent substantial time in foreign countries demonstrated significantly better integrative complexity, the ability to hold multiple competing ideas simultaneously and synthesize them into novel solutions. In one study, his team found that creative directors who had lived abroad were measurably more likely to produce award-winning work. The correlation was robust across multiple industries and control variables. Travel also appears to have a measurable effect on what neuroscientists call the default mode network, the brain system that activates during self-reflection, daydreaming, and imagining the future. When this network is healthy and well-connected, it is associated with higher levels of empathy, creativity, and abstract thinking. Studies using functional MRI have shown that individuals who travel regularly and engage deeply with foreign cultures show stronger connectivity in the default mode network compared to non-travelers. That stronger connectivity translates directly into better emotional regulation and greater capacity for perspective taking. Here is a specific number that puts all of this in context. A study from the American Psychological Association found that just 8 days of immersive travel in a new environment produced measurable increases in openness to experience, one of the 5 core personality traits, and that this increase persisted for at least 3 months after returning home. 3 months. From 8 days. The neurological return on investment from travel is extraordinary compared to almost any other intervention. But what kind of travel produces the greatest cognitive benefit? This is where the science gets specific, and it matters enormously for how you approach your next trip. Research consistently shows that passive tourism, the kind where you stay in a resort, follow a rigid schedule, and minimize contact with local culture, produces minimal neurological benefits. Your brain is not challenged. It remains largely in default mode. The novelty is visual but not functional. The travel experiences that produce the greatest brain changes share 3 characteristics. First, they involve navigating genuine uncertainty. Second, they require meaningful interaction with locals. Third, they demand adaptation rather than just observation. Backpacking through Southeast Asia for a month with a loose itinerary, volunteering in a community in rural Ghana, learning to cook with a family in Bologna, these experiences push the brain into sustained periods of active neurological engagement that literally reshape its structure. And the reshaping is not subtle. Research from the University of Chicago found that students who studied abroad showed significantly greater development of the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for complex decision-making and impulse control, compared to students who stayed on campus. The prefrontal cortex is also the last region of the brain to fully develop in young adults, which is part of why researchers believe travel during formative years has especially profound and lasting effects. But the data also clearly shows benefits for adults at every age, including seniors. Here is the counterintuitive finding that almost nobody is talking about. Rest is not the mechanism. The common assumption is that travel benefits the brain because it reduces stress and allows you to relax. The science says something far more interesting. Travel benefits the brain most when it is mildly stressful. The cognitive gains come from the challenge, from the disorientation, from the problem solving, not from the lounging. A purely relaxing beach holiday with no cultural engagement produces some psychological benefit but minimal neurological benefit. The brain needs friction to grow. Comfortable travel is essentially neurologically neutral. This insight reframes the entire concept of what a meaningful trip looks like. The goal is not to minimize discomfort. The goal is to calibrate it. A trip that challenges you enough to keep your brain actively engaged but not so much that it tips into genuine distress is the cognitive sweet spot. Getting lost is good. Not knowing what to order is good. Being the only person in a room who does not speak the language is good. Those moments of productive disorientation are the ones your brain will remember, learn from, and structurally incorporate. There is also compelling evidence that travel slows age-related cognitive decline. A 2020 study published in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health found that frequent travelers over the age of 60 showed significantly slower rates of cognitive decline than non-travelers, even after controlling for income, education, and physical health. The researchers attributed this to the sustained engagement of multiple brain systems simultaneously, something travel produces naturally and consistently. What all of this research points to is a remarkably coherent picture. Travel is not a luxury. It is not merely entertainment. According to the neuroscience, it is one of the most effective tools humans have for maintaining and expanding cognitive function. The brain is a use it or lose it organ, and travel uses it in ways that nothing else quite replicates. Every unfamiliar street, every awkward language barrier, every unexpected detour is your brain being strengthened. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to TravelSphere for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.